The chance came in the 89th minute, and for 3 seconds, 90,000 Barcelona fans rose as one, ready to explode. By the time Lamine Yamal's shot sailed high over the crossbar, the Camp Nou groaned in collective agony. By the time Real Madrid scored their winner in the 92nd minute, the title race was over. By Sunday morning, Lewandowski had unfollowed Yamal on Instagram. By Monday's training, the 17-year-old prodigy and the 36-year-old legend weren't speaking. But it started with 22 words shouted across the Camp Nou pitch, words that ended a mentorship and exposed the fragility of Barcelona's generational balance. "You're 17. I've scored 600 goals. When I tell you to pass, you pass. This isn't FIFA. This is real football where experience matters." Don't forget to subscribe to EliteBall Legends and like the video for your support. Thank you for subscribing. Lamine Yamal had been in Barcelona's first team for 18 months, and in that time, he had become more than a footballer. He had become a phenomenon. At 17 years old, the Spanish winger played with audacity that bordered on arrogance. Every touch electric, every dribble confident, every decision fearless. He was the youngest player to debut for Barcelona in La Liga, the youngest to score for Spain, the face of a new generation that believed the impossible was just another skill to master. TikTok edits, Instagram reels showing his nutmegs and stepovers, comparisons to Messi that he didn't reject. He was the future, and he knew it. Robert Lewandowski had been at Barcelona for 2 seasons, and in that time, he had been what Barcelona needed: goals, leadership, world-class finishing, when the rebuild demanded results. At 36, the Polish striker was in the twilight of an extraordinary career. Over 600 goals for club and country, Bundesliga titles, Champions League glory, individual awards that filled a trophy room. He had arrived at Barcelona to do what aging superstars do: win one more title, prove doubters wrong, show that class was permanent. And he had taken Yamal under his wing, the veteran teaching the prodigy about positioning, movement, when to shoot, and when to pass. The father figure and his gifted son. The April evening at Camp Nou had started with pressure. Barcelona led Real Madrid by 1 point with 4 matches remaining. El Clásico, the rivalry that transcended sport, the match that shaped legacies, the 90 minutes that determined champions. Xavi Hernandez's job depended on this. Barcelona's entire season depended on this. And everyone knew, beat Madrid tonight, and the title was theirs. Lose, and everything collapsed. The pre-match dressing room had been electric with tension. Xavi pacing, delivering his tactical instructions with intensity. Barcelona would press high, exploit Madrid's defensive transitions, attack Carvajal's aging legs with Yamal's pace. Lewandowski would be the reference point, the player. Everything built toward the finisher who converted chances into goals. Yamal had sat in his locker, 17 years old, but carrying himself like he owned the stadium. His ritual, headphones on, music loud, visualization of the moves he'd make, the defenders he'd humiliate. He caught Lewandowski's eye across the room. The veteran was watching him, that paternal expression showing pride mixed with concern. Lewa had been there before, 100 big matches, 1,000 pressure moments. Yamal was experiencing it for the first time at this level. "You ready?" Lewandowski had walked over, putting his hand on Yamal's shoulder. "Always ready. Remember what we worked on. When you beat your man and get into the box, look for me first. I'll be there. I know. Not just know, do it. Trust the experienced players. That's how we win." Yamal had nodded, but something in his eyes suggested he was only half listening. He was 17, fearless, and believed his individual brilliance could decide anything. The match had been everything El Clásico promised: intense, tactical, violent in its beauty. Madrid defended deep, making Barcelona work for every inch. Yamal tormented Carvajal from the first minute, the young winger using pace and skill to beat the veteran right back repeatedly. But the final ball, the finishing, that was missing. Barcelona created chances but couldn't convert. Madrid scored first in the 39th minute, Vinicius Jr. finishing a counter-attack that caught Barcelona's high line out of position. The Camp Nou fell silent, the familiar anxiety returning. Not this way, not losing to Madrid, not blowing the title at home. Barcelona equalized in the 58th minute, and it was beautiful. Yamal received the ball wide, beat Carvajal with a step-over and acceleration, cut inside past Rudiger, and delivered a perfect cross. Lewandowski, timing his run with the precision of 600 goals, headed it powerfully into the corner. 1-1. The Camp Nou erupted. Lewandowski had sprinted to Yamal, embracing the teenager, lifting him off the ground. Perfect. Exactly what we practiced. Keep doing that. The celebration was joy, but also validation. The veteran and the prodigy combining, the partnership working. The match continued, brutal and tense. Both teams pushed for the winner, knowing a draw helped Madrid. Barcelona created chances, Xavi hitting the post, Rafinha forcing a save, Lewandowski's header cleared off the line. Madrid defended desperately, time ticking away, both teams exhausted. The 89th minute brought the moment that defined everything. Barcelona won the ball back in midfield, Pedri intercepting a weak Madrid clearance. He drove forward, Madrid scrambling back, Barcelona flooding forward with numbers. This was it. The winner, the title decider, the moment. Yamal received the ball wide left, 30 yards from goal. Carvajal was beaten, exhausted, couldn't keep up. The teenager accelerated into space. Madrid's defense in chaos. He reached the edge of the penalty area, cutting inside on his left foot, his favorite position, his favorite move. 3 options materialized in that instant. Option 1, Lewandowski making his trademark run across the 6-yard box, pulling away from Militão, screaming for the ball. The experienced striker in the perfect position, 10 yards from goal, the pass, simple and safe. 99 times out of 100, that's the right play. Option 2, Rafinha arriving at the far post, completely unmarked. Madrid's defense having committed everyone to stopping Yamal. The Brazilian waving his arms, open, another good option. Option 3, shoot. The goal was there, 22 yards out, Courtois positioned slightly to his right, the top corner visible. A difficult shot, requiring precision and power, but possible. The goal that would make him a legend at 17, the moment that would trend worldwide, the finish that would prove he was ready for everything. Lamine, here, pass! Lewandowski's voice cut through the crowd noise, commanding, demanding. The veteran had made the run, earned the position, deserved the ball. Now! Yamal heard him, made eye contact for a microsecond, saw the open man, understood the right play, and chose glory over wisdom. He shot. The ball left his foot with power, curling toward the top corner, the trajectory looking good for half a second. Courtois had committed, diving, fully extended, but the shot had too much power, not enough curve. It rose over the crossbar by 2 feet, into the crowd, not even close. The kind of miss that professionals make when they choose the difficult over the simple. The Camp Nou groaned, 90,000 people exhaling disappointment, frustration, disbelief. Yamal stood there, hands on his head, knowing immediately he'd made the wrong choice. Lewandowski was 15 yards away, arms raised in the universal gesture of, I was open. His face showed everything, shock, anger, betrayal. The veteran who had been ignored by the teenager he'd mentored. What the fuck was that? Lewandowski's voice carried across the pitch, loud enough for players to hear, captured by broadcast microphones. Yamal didn't respond, just turned and jogged back, face burning with shame and defiance mixed together. Madrid collected the ball, threw it back into play. Barcelona pressed desperately, but Madrid had momentum now, sensing Barcelona's deflation. The 92nd minute arrived like destiny. Madrid won a corner, their 10th of the match. Courtois had come up for it, the goalkeeper in the opposition box, desperation time. The corner was delivered perfectly. Rudiger rose highest. His header was powerful and accurate. Ter Stegen couldn't reach it. The ball hit the net. 2-1. Real Madrid. The away section exploded. The Camp Nou fell into devastated silence. Barcelona's players collapsed to the pitch, the weight of defeat crushing. The title race was effectively over. Madrid would win La Liga. Barcelona would finish second, another season of nearly there, ending in heartbreak. Yamal had stood at the center circle, 17 years old, processing what he'd done. His shot had cost them. His choice had cost them the title. The weight was enormous, the guilt suffocating. He looked toward Lewandowski, who was walking off the pitch without looking at anyone, his face showing cold fury. The final whistle blew seconds later. Madrid players celebrated like they'd won the league, because they had. Barcelona players walked off devastated, some crying, others staring at nothing. The Camp Nou was silent except for the celebrating Madrid section, a funeral atmosphere in the home stands. In the tunnel, Lewandowski had been ahead of Yamal, walking quickly toward the dressing room. The teenager had tried to approach, to apologize, to explain. Lewa, I don't. The striker didn't even turn around, just kept walking. That one word, delivered with finality, hurt more than any shouting would have. The Barcelona dressing room was silent. No one spoke. Players sat at their lockers in various states of devastation, some still in full kit, others showering mechanically. The coaching staff gave space for grief. Xavi hadn't entered yet. He was doing his post-match obligations, putting on the brave face while inside he was dying. Yamal had sat in his corner, still in full kit, the youngest player in the room, feeling the weight of 89 minutes differently than anyone else. His phone had already started buzzing, messages from family trying to console him, from friends asking if he was okay. He ignored all of it, staring at the floor, replaying the moment over and over. 10 minutes of silence. Then Xavi entered. His face showed exhaustion and disappointment, but also dignity. Lads, that hurts. It should hurt. We were so close. But we learn, we grow, we come back stronger. We have 3 more matches. We finish with pride. Professional words, manager words. But everyone knew the truth. The season was over. Madrid had won. 3 more matches were just formality. Xavi left. The silence returned. And that's when it exploded. You had to be the hero. Lewandowski's voice from across the room, not shouting. Worse, cold, controlled, cutting. You had to take the glory shot instead of making the right play. Yamal looked up, his young face showing defiance and guilt mixed. I thought I could score. You thought wrong. I was open. I've scored 600 goals in my career. I know when I'm open, and you ignored me. It was a split-second decision. It was ego, pure ego. You saw me, you heard me, and you decided your highlight reel was more important than winning. The room was electric now, other players watching, unsure whether to intervene. Pedri and Xavi exchanged glances. Should they step in? I'm 17, Yamal said, his voice rising. I'm learning. I made a mistake. You're 17 and you think you know everything? That's the problem. Lewandowski stood now, his physical presence filling the room. You're talented. Maybe the most talented 17-year-old I've ever seen. But talent without intelligence is useless. And tonight, you showed you have talent but no brain. That's not fair. You're 17. I've scored 600 goals. When I tell you to pass, you pass. This isn't FIFA. This is real football where experience matters. The words hung in the air. The veteran putting the teenager in his place, using age and achievement as a weapon, reminding him of hierarchy and respect. But there was cruelty in it too. The tone that said, know your place. Yamal's face had transformed. The shame was replaced by anger now. You're 36. You're slow. Maybe I didn't pass because you wouldn't have gotten there in time. The room gasped. That was the line you didn't cross. Attacking Lewandowski's age, suggesting he was declining, that was the nuclear option. And Yamal, 17 and hurting and defensive, had chosen it. Lewandowski's face went pale, then red. For a moment, he looked like he might physically attack the teenager. Ter Stegen stood up, ready to intervene, but the striker controlled himself. I won't forget this, Lewandowski said quietly. When you needed me, I was there. I taught you. I supported you. And you repay me by costing us the title and then insulting me. You're not a prodigy. You're a spoiled child who got lucky with talent. He had grabbed his bag and walked out. No shower, no goodbyes, just left, the door slamming behind him. The room remained silent. Yamal sat there, his hands shaking. The reality of what he'd done, both on the pitch and in the dressing room, crushing him. By Sunday morning, the social media fallout had begun. The Spanish press was brutal. Yamal's ego costs Barcelona the title. Lewandowski furious with teenage teammate. El Clásico lost when youth forgets wisdom. The video of Lewandowski shouting, "What the fuck was that?" had gone viral. Lip readers had analyzed the dressing room confrontation. Fan accounts were divided. some defending Yamal as a kid learning, others crucifying him for selfishness. But everyone agreed. Something had broken between Barcelona's past and Barcelona's future. Lewandowski's Instagram showed a photo from better times, him celebrating a goal with the caption, "In football, the team always comes first. Always." He had unfollowed Yamal. The message was clear. Yamal posted nothing. His last post was from before the match, a pre-game photo with the caption, "Ready." The comments section was warfare, half supportive, half critical. Monday's training at Ciutat Esportiva was professional but tense. Lewandowski arrived early, did his work with intensity, barely spoke to anyone. Yamal arrived on time, kept his head down, avoided the striker. During drills that required them to work together, they communicated only what was tactically necessary. No encouragement, no banter, just cold professionalism. Other players tried to mediate. Pedri pulled Yamal aside. "You need to apologize properly. What you said about his age, that was too much. He called me a spoiled child. Because you acted like one. You took a bad shot. You chose yourself over the team. And when he called you out, you attacked him personally. That's not how this works." Xavi had approached Lewandowski. "He's young. He'll learn. He'll learn by suffering the consequences. I'm not here to coddle teenagers who think they're bigger than the team. He looks up to you. He respects you. He has a funny way of showing it." The week continued with Barcelona playing its remaining matches without passion. They beat Getafe 2-0, professional but lifeless. Drew with Valencia 1-1, uninspired. The final match against Villarreal ended 3-1, a consolation victory that meant nothing. Madrid had already won the league. Barcelona finished second again. In the final match, Xavi had started both Lewandowski and Yamal. The striker scored twice, professional and clinical. Yamal had an assist, but looked subdued, his usual confidence muted. When Lewandowski scored his second goal, he didn't celebrate with Yamal, despite the teenager providing the cross. Just ran to the corner flag alone, pointed to the sky, and jogged back. The message was clear. He'd do his job, but the relationship was over. The season ended with Barcelona's trophy celebration for Copa del Rey. They'd won the cup in April, before everything fell apart. The team photos showed Lewandowski and Yamal at opposite ends of the group. The distance was deliberate, visible, sad. Summer brought decisions. Lewandowski considered leaving Barcelona. Offers from Saudi Arabia, from MLS, from everywhere. But he stayed one more year, determined to win La Liga properly. Yamal stayed too, no choice really at 17. But the partnership was dead. The breakthrough came in unexpected fashion. Pre-season, a month later, during a friendly in the United States. Barcelona played a weak opponent, dominated easily. In the 75th minute, Yamal had the ball in a similar position to El Clásico. Lewandowski making a run. The teenager, without hesitation, passed it. Simple, perfect. Lewandowski scored. The striker had jogged back, and this time he nodded at Yamal. Not a celebration, not forgiveness, just acknowledgement. The teenager had learned something. After the match, Lewandowski had found Yamal in the hallway. Private conversation, no cameras. "That pass, that's what I needed in El Clásico. I know, I'm sorry, I should have passed. Yes, you should have. I was trying to be the hero. I wanted the moment. I understand. I was young once. I made mistakes too. But football isn't about individual moments. It's about collective success. You're talented enough to be great, but you'll only become great when you understand that." Yamal had nodded, finally hearing it. "Will you teach me, like you did before?" Lewandowski had considered. "I'll teach you, but not as a favor, as a teammate. You respect my experience, I respect your talent. Deal?" "Deal." They had shaken hands. Not quite friends again, but teammates with mutual respect, slowly rebuilding. The father figure and the prodigy finding a way forward, not by pretending El Clásico hadn't happened, but by acknowledging it had and choosing to grow from it. The next season brought Barcelona a different dynamic. Yamal was still brilliant, still confident, but tempered. He passed more, looked for teammates, made smarter decisions. Lewandowski scored goals, led by example, and occasionally pulled the teenager aside to explain positioning or timing. The mentorship resumed, different now, less paternal, more professional. they never recaptured the easy relationship of Yamal's first months. Too much had been said, too much trust broken, but they built something more valuable, professional respect earned through adversity. The recognition that talent needed wisdom, that wisdom needed energy, that Barcelona needed both. Years later, when Yamal had become the superstar everyone predicted, he'd reflect on El Clásico as the match that taught him everything. Not the goals he scored, not the trophies he won, but the shot he didn't take, the pass he should have made, the mentor he disrespected and then learned to value. And Lewandowski, in his retirement, would speak about Yamal with pride mixed with honesty. Incredibly talented, had to learn the hard way that individual brilliance means nothing without team success. But he learned. That's what separated him from other prodigies who never figured it out. The lesson was simple but crucial. In football, as in life, knowing when to pass was as important as knowing when to shoot. And sometimes the greatest goals were the ones you didn't take, the passes you made instead, trusting that the person you gave the ball to would finish what you started. That was the wisdom that separated prodigies from legends. And it took an 89th-minute mistake in El Clásico to teach it.